South Park is an animated TV show, and one of the most popular and controversial right now. I think we all know that. But sticking with the subject of video games, by the turn of the millennium, the series spawned 3 games that all bombed critically and commercially. The creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone had no involvement on any of these, understandably became a lot more protective of their show, and there wasn't an official South Park game for 9 years. Although a GTA clone was being developed in the early to mid 2000s, nothing came of it. Being a huge fan of video games themselves, Parker and Stone, largely inspired by Earthbound, Paper Mario, Skyrim, and the Legend of Zelda series, they ambitiously decided, okay, let's make something like that for our show. They went to Obsidian Entertainment, who are notable for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas, and Pillars of Eternity. During development, Parker and Stone worked as consultants, writers, voice actors, and fundraisers. They insisted on having the show's style replicated, and the development team were like, if we're gonna make a good South Park game, we let Parker and Stone work. Everything was going well, the creators were highly enthusiastic, and the developers had full access to South Park archives. But it was also in a small development hell thanks to THQ's Chapter 11 bankruptcy woes, which put the project up for auction. It created a legal battle between South Park Digital Studios and THQ over the authority to put it on auction. But eventually, the rights to the Stick of Truth were sold to Ubisoft for $3.2 million on January 2013, which also meant it had to be delayed 6 months. After 4 years of development and changing publishers, South Park The Stick of Truth was released on March 2014, just a few months after the PS4 and Xbox One. You are the new kid. At the beginning, it's a character created with lots of customization options. I think it's unnecessary to be specific with the clothes because most of the game you're in some sort of special outfit that benefits combat. You and your parents have just moved into South Park to escape a forgotten past.
Do you remember why we moved to this quiet little mountain town? He doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember at all.
That's good he doesn't remember.
And you're ordered to make friends, and the first kid you interact with is...
Thanks, kid. I didn't realize he had a health potion. My name is Butters the Merciful. I'm a paladin. I live right next door to you. We should be friends.
Well, this is already worth playing if Butters is your first friend. Apparently, there's a fantasy war between the humans and elves who are battling control over the Stick of Truth. And Butters, the Merciful, brings you to the kingdom of Cooper Keep ran by Cartman. Yeah, to ally you with the human race, with the title, Douchebag.
Are you sure you want to keep the name Douchebag? Very well, Douchebag.
But one night, aliens, yep, those ones from the first ever episode, abduct you to install an anal Oh, come on! But with the help of Randy Marsh, yes, he pops up a lot as well, you escape with a UFO crash landing into the South Park Mall. The next morning, a new Taco Bell is under construction. The UFO was discovered by the government and is sealed off.
They claim that the only reason huge tents have gone up to cover this area is to mask the construction of a new Taco Bell, which will open sometime later this month. Thanks, Midget, I do love me some Taco Bell.
But then a green goo on the ship is set loose into town, and it turns people into Nazi zombies. That's as far as I'll go. You're in the middle of a pretend epic war with the kids, and discovering what is really going on in South Park.
It's getting late. The Grand Wizard needs to go night-night.
Okay, Mom, thanks for pointing out bedtime for everyone.
What can you say? The story was written by the creators themselves, so you know you're going to get the kind of storytelling and humor from the show. About 90% of the recurring characters make some sort of cameo. Interaction with them alone makes this game worth it.
My baby! Bring me my baby! You're a fucking train wreck!
But the stars of the game are the kids. It's a story of being one, playing fantasy in a town with your friends, but being South Park, it goes beyond that.
I am a level 10 bard, and with my loot, I shall power up my elven guards with magical songs of enchant. Magical songs of enchant.
This is me in a nutshell when I'm trying to record dialogue for these videos. Jimmy better not be pitching a tent during this fight.
Sleep now, the whippoorwills are dancing. Gently now, put your mind to rest.
It has a combination of old school storytelling from the early seasons, and the modern satire you'd expect from episodes of this millennium. Based mostly on the episode The Return of the Fellowship of the Ring to the Two Towers, I like that despite the crashed UFO, the government, and Nazi zombies, the kids stay in their fantasy world and tackle everything thrown at them.
Citizens of Cooper Keep, we know where the elves are hiding the stick. I told you they were cheating. Now we shall march on the skew and make the hallways drip with elven blood! Huzzah!
We can all agree that South Park games of the 5th generation were garbage. I understand that 3D was all the rage during that generation, but making a 3D game based off a 2D cartoon is ridiculous. I mean, if you have the humour from the show like The Simpsons Hit and Run or SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, that would have been enough, but it's laughable to look at now and not in a good way. The Stick of Truth, on the other hand, what you see is what you get. Parker and Stone certainly did their part because the authenticity is insane, and playing it for the first time as a South Park fan, it was overwhelming.
So, you're the new kid everyone is talking about. What's your name?
He doesn't talk, Elf King. He thinks he's hot shit or something.
There isn't a single licensed video game that felt like I was playing the TV show as an animated version of myself. I'm reviewing a South Park episode.
Some Canadians think our nation should be united again, my lord.
Shut up! Who the fuck are you?
But because it's South Park, it shows no mercy. Some of the content is so hardcore, Ubisoft were paranoid about what the rating boards outside the US would think. It was censored in most of Asia, Europe, and Australia. The scenes that depict anal probing and abortions, gone, and were replaced with cards explaining what the scene was and that had to be censored. I'm super serial. In Europe, the background was a statue in facepalm mode, and in Australia, it's a crying koala. Yep, I had to witness this occasionally. It was also edited in Germany because Nazi zombies. Need I say more? But to anyone who lives in countries that have this game censored, it barely ruins the experience because if you're a South Park fan, I'm pretty sure you'll know exactly what those scenes would look like anyway.
Great, you made it! Okay, use this panel here and we can all go home!
It still annoys me though. Once you're equipped to fight at Cooper Keep, the town of South Park, Colorado is free for you to explore.
Behold the distant realm of downtown, home of corrupt merchant lords and homeless people.
Before development, there wasn't a concrete map of South Park, so the designers had to watch almost every episode to meet with the area codes. I love it. All the memorable spots from the show, you assume they didn't miss anything.
We aren't allowed to go into the street. It's such an open world, our parents don't want us getting hurt.
The Wizard King says I'm too ginger to be one of the humans, but Paladin Butters lets me be his squire on the sly.
Paladins seek justice for all races.
Like any RPG, certain spots and items can only be accessed through new powers learned by the characters, including special farts, anal probes, shrinking, and long-range weapons. Timmy can also provide transport via fast travel stations. A partner can accompany you on your journey just in case a fight breaks out, and thanks to Buddy Command, whenever a blockade needs clearing, a victim needs nurturing, or an enemy needs flirting.
Well, looky what we got here. I'm coming for you, baby. Oh, yeah.
Wow, those are some big old bitties. Man, oh man.
Aside from the Stick of Truth War, there are a few side quests where the recurring characters have a chance to be themselves.
Oh, hello, Mongolian! Shh! Mongolians are watching. They conquered me last week. Act natural. Oh yeah, Mongolian beef. So tasty, right? Wow.
Weapons can either be purchased in stores or found on the go through enemies and pickups. You start with basic equipment purchased from Clyde, then constantly change weapons as the story picks up. Same goes for the items. Even these are based off previous episodes like the Weight Gain 4000 and Tweak Coffee, a simpler cup for a simpler America. I strongly advise you to stock up on as many health potions as possible. You got that? Steve?
How am I supposed to do all this?
Most of the weapons and outfits have space for add-ons. You always find you can do more to make yourself better, so always check your inventory. Like every RPG, I never seem to learn. Obsidian originally wanted proper fantasy weapons, armor and items so we can see what the kids are imagining, kind of like the episode Good Times with Weapons. But Parker and Stone wanted them to look like the sort of thing kids would carry around, which only adds to the authenticity. Besides, the weapons eventually become more intimidating the better you get. You have an option of fighter, mage, thief and Jew.
So I guess we'll never really be friends.
These options affect the type of abilities you can learn through experience points, and come in real handy for long-term effectiveness in combat. Magic spells, aka farts, are learned by the characters themselves and are as funny as you'd expect.
That was fucking hilarious!
This comes in the form of mana, and while it's useful for extra melee damage, I find myself using it to pass through blockades, not in actual combat. While you improve, so do your partners, with them learning new abilities themselves. Speaking of friends, what did your parents say before? Well, the more friends you have on Facebook, the more perk options you unlock, which include increased health and reviving your partner full health, just as you expect from an RPG. Despite all this power, and a few kids by your side, not that many respect your authority.
God damn it, I have fucking authority!
The combat battles are very similar to Paper Mario. You pick a melee, long range or special attack, and the correct button combination pressed at the right time equals a perfect hit. On the harder parts of the game, the best strategy is to set fire, bleed and gross out as many enemies as possible, with a lot of healing items for brace for impact defense, then attack head on.
You asked for it. Yeah! I can do this all day.
Everyone is constantly hassling you to make a move.
You're a bad seed. I have to go to the bathroom. Seriously, how sweet it would be if I had a spell that would make cows suck my balls? Kind of like dying right now.
Shut up, it's an RPG. There will be the occasional fight that requires just a bit more experience to get past, which is why you see so many messages from Al Gore, because until you defeat him, he won't stop bothering you. Sometimes the surroundings allow you to defeat the enemy without any combat needed. Yeah, do you respect my authority now? This game is pretty easy, especially the second time playing it. Like I said before, there were a couple frustrating fights, but not much strategy changes needed. I don't know why I'm giving advice, RPG gamers would have a better idea than I would, but the least I can say is that it has all the basics covered. The combination of items and battles involving strategy rather than real-time combat skill, not too much of it at least. If you're a South Park fan with this much to do, it delivers on everything you could hope for.
Feel my righteous fury! That was pretty good!
Parker and Stone had to cut so much out of the original script because it was too long, with early designs including full-fledged worlds of the Underwear Gnomes and the Crab People. They should have just put it in the game because it took around 10 hours to beat, which is short for an RPG. But when you think about it, a South Park episode is 20 minutes. 10 hours, all of a sudden, doesn't sound too bad. Who needs another movie when you have this? Once you get past the ending credits, you get out of bed and have an option to complete the rest of the quest you missed out on, giving you a chance to complete 100%. Gotta catch all the Chimpokemon! Even though it's just a South Park version of Paper Mario, I'm surprised that it hasn't paved the way for other popular animated shows to copy the same gameplay and presentation formula. The only reason I can think of why not is that first-person shooters dominate the market, and Ubisoft decided to take a risk, which I think paid off. 5 million copies sold doesn't sound too shabby for a game based off an adult cartoon show. Even more impressive when you consider that the PS4 and Xbox One consoles were already out for a few months. So it was no surprise when Ubisoft announced a sequel called The Fractured But Whole. Get it? Which is based off the Coon trilogy. And if you pre-order, the Stick of Truth will also be available in one hilarious package. This is a game you can only enjoy if you're a South Park fan, but there are a lot of them out there. And from my experience, this is one of the funniest and greatest licensed games ever made. Definitely worth playing.
Let us delve their dungeon with swords and sorcery!
Let us charge our shields and use photon torpedoes to vaporize the Klingons!
Kevin, god damn it. Every fucking time, Kevin. God fucking damn it, seriously.
I'm sorry.